Morning.
Morning.
Hey, KK. And Sydney. Any of our other college students coming back to visit? I'd like to welcome everyone to the last Sunday for the month of March 2015. Now, March Madness continues, and our Hondo is still enjoying some elbow room as the tournament seasons wind down. Speaking of which, I'd like to congratulate our McClatchy Lions girls varsity basketball team on becoming the 2015 state champions. Their coach, Jessica Kunisaki, grew up coming here. She's the daughter of, everyone knows, Rodney and Julie Kunisaki, and her twin brother Joel and younger brother David. And it was great to see them on TV. I didn't know it was televised, but I caught the end of the game, and it was so exciting. And we had a couple of our Dharma school students playing on that championship team, Sarah Shimizu and our own Haley Arakaki. All right, Haley. Ooh, ooh. Oh. All I can say is that we're so proud of them for bringing the state championship to Sacramento for the first time. What a game, huh? Double overtime. I can't even begin to imagine. The NCAA tournament's also winding down, and now that Kentucky has escaped almost losing to the team Notre Dame put together. Sorry, Sensei Calvin. His brother is a professor at Notre Dame, so I know he was rooting for Notre Dame. But Kentucky looks to be now like the odds-on favorite to win it all. But like our McClatchy Lions girls varsity basketball team, you got to play the games. Huh? You got to play the games to earn the title. And now that we're still on the topic of basketball, I'd like to thank our Betsuin Sports Program for hosting another outstanding tournament this year. Earlier this month, we hosted 140 teams from around the state, near and far. And I understand at the Saturday night social they had here, we had 500 people enjoying the companionship, making new friends, reacquainting with old. And this year, I wasn't able to speak to we usually have a service before one of the tournaments for our kids, but I like to, if given the opportunity, I always try to give our student basketball athletes, players, three very important bits of advice. Number one, I tell them, shoot the ball. No. Shoot the ball. If you've got an open shot or a lane to the basket, shoot the ball. If no one shoots the ball, the best we can hope for is a 0-0 tie. Huh? Okay. Number two, remember that the members of the opposing team have brothers and sisters. You may end up marrying one of them someday. So treat your potential in-laws well. And number three, know that as a Betsuin basketball team, you represent. You're all ambassadors of goodwill and good sportsmanship for this temple and for the entire Buddhist tradition. So play hard, play fair, and have a good time with your future potential in-laws. When I read the Dharma message that Reverend Patty had prepared for the Placer Buddhist Temple last month, in February, I insisted that she share that wonderful message with our Betsuin Dharma School also. And so she spoke here the last Sunday of February before the March tournament season began. And I wanted our Betsuin basketball ambassadors to hear her message, since from the beginning of March and throughout this month, so many of our Dharma School students are away on the weekends. Reverend Patty had a really great message, and she continues to receive positive comments from folks who appreciated what she had to share. And I'd like to comment on the Dharma essence of her talk today. But before I give a brief summary of her talk, I want to add that Reverend Patty's Dharma message also cleared up a lot of things for me. I realized that looking back, it makes sense now that she was never really, not really, a fan of basketball. I guess because, I love the game so much, and since she never mentioned not liking basketball, I just assumed that she loved it as much as I did. So, when we were first dating, she lived in Los Angeles, and she never objected at all going to the fabulous Forum, watching the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar-led Lakers play in the late 80s, in the early 80s, early 80s, yeah. What an amazing team. We would go to see Kareem, Magic Johnson, Jamal Wilkes, Norm Nixon, then came Byron Scott and James Worthy, and then the Iron Man, A.C. Green, and then Kurt Rambis. It was the original Showtime, and I just enjoyed watching them play so much. In fact, Patty was always really enthusiastic about going to the games, but now looking back, I guess maybe it could have been just the excitement of going out with me. Do you think so? No, I know it wasn't so. She was excited to go to these games because looking back, she was star watching, Rather than watch the game, she was spotting celebrities at the Forum. She'd have binoculars and she says, "Oh, Brooke Shields is here." "Oh, wow, look, here comes," Yeah, she would be calling out people, "Oh, Jack Nicholson's got his front row seat." And then she'd say, "Wow, Pat Riley, he's got an Armani suit on. I think he's got a Rolex." There are a few other comments that I won't mention here, but boy, she was really watching all of the things happening around the game, And so on one of our early dates, attending a Lakers game at the Forum, I think it was around 1982, I remember an announcement being made that a new recording artist was going to sing the national anthem. And when his name was announced, there was an explosion of female voices shouting his name. It was something like this. To sing the national anthem, please welcome new hit recording artist, Mr. Jeffrey Osborne. Suddenly, there was a cascade of voices from all around us just shouting, "Jeffrey, Jeffrey, Jeffrey." I never been in the middle of anything like this, so I turned to Patty intending to say, "Boy, have you ever seen anything like this?" And when I looked at her, she was on her feet going, "Jeffrey!" So until her talk last month, I never knew that she once tried her best to play on a basketball team for her Fowler Temple. And I never knew that after a few games, she was told by her coach that she need not return. This must have been a very quiet and very private trauma because she kept it completely to herself. And although at that young age she was discouraged from playing basketball, there's no doubt that Patty found many, many other ways to enjoy the game. As she said in her Dharma talk, and this is a quote, "I recall feeling crushed because I wanted to continue to be with my friends and try to play basketball. But looking back, I must admit that I also felt relieved because the stress of trying to play a game I did not understand was no longer there, and I also would not miss the coach yelling at me." Years later, I was pleased that both my younger sister and brother excelled at playing basketball. Actually, they were both very good at sports in general, and watching them play helped me to understand and appreciate the game. And fortunately, years later, when I was in my 20s, I found great enjoyment in playing volleyball. It was so much fun socializing with everyone while we played, and it did not require dribbling a ball. I realized that playing basketball was not my sport, but there were other activities that we might enjoy and actually do better. Although my volleyball days are now also long gone, I have now found enjoyment occasionally golfing. Fortunately, golf also does not require dribbling a ball, and it is much fun socializing while we play. The Dharma point that Reverend Patty shared was this. She said, one of the most essential practices of Buddhism is self-reflection, to know ourselves. Sometimes we may find ourselves reflecting on events that happened decades ago and realize how they have impacted on our lives in so many ways, great and small. At the time we are living through those events, we may have felt them to be good or bad, happy or sad, but in looking back, I find that they were simply the experiences of my life. They were all a part of the karma of my life. Nowadays, parents might be upset with the coach that told their child they lacked the skills to play a sport, but looking back for me, it was liberating to learn early on that I can't be great at everything I do. Knowing the reality of failure has also been an important part of shaping me into the person I am today. Patty's experience with basketball reminded me of a speech that I read that Bill Gates gave to a high school, at a high school. He gave 11 points. He made 11 points. He said that things that students did not and would not learn in school. Okay? So again, this is Bill Gates talking to high school students. He said that this feel-good, politically correct teachings that we are now seem to be embracing is creating a generation of children with no concept of reality and how this concept may be setting them up for failure in the real world. So just a few of his 11 comments that I thought I'd share today. I thought they especially applied to the lessons that Patty has learned from her coach after she was cut from the team. So again, remember, this is Bill Gates talking to high school students. His rule number 1, life is not fair. Get used to it. Rule number 2, the world doesn't care about your self-esteem. The world will expect you to accomplish something before you feel good about yourself. Number 4, if you think your teacher, or in Patty's case, your coach, if you think they're tough, wait till you get a boss. Number 8, your school may have done away with winners and losers, but life has not. And in some schools, they have abolished failing grades, and they'll give you as many times as you want to get it right. And then he adds, this doesn't bear the slightest resemblance to anything in real life. And his last rule was, be nice to nerds. Chances are you'll end up working for one. So as Patty shared, one of the most essential practices of Buddhism is self-reflection, to know ourselves. Sometimes, as she said, we may find ourselves reflecting on events that happened decades ago and realize how they have impacted on our lives in so many ways, great and small. At the time we were living through those events, we may have felt them to be good or bad, happy or sad. But in looking back, I find they were simply the experiences of my life. They were all a part of my karma. And the karma of her life must have all worked out well, for all those experiences, all of those events, and all of those decisions led her to me. And for Patty and I, actually, to be here with all of you at the Sacramento Betsin. Often it's mentioned that karma is deep. Innem afkai. Karma is deep. So, with this in mind, with this warming weather, there is no doubt that we are all now really into the spring of 2015. So enjoy this beautiful spring of 2015 with awareness that the karma of our lives is being shaped by all of the experiences, good or bad, happy or sad. In closing, please join me in Gassho. In looking back on the karma of our lives, in deeply reflecting on our lives, our Dharma eyes help us to see that it has been not only all of the events and activities, not only the people and the interactions that have helped create the lives we are living, but it is also how we have responded to adversity that has made us the people we are today. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.